Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Ashley Mailloux with producer Bobby helping us out for the Saturday race of the day. It's a big one over at Del Mar. But before we get into the preview of the Pacific Classic, we want to let everybody know about the Labor Day sale right now over at shop.drf.com. Save 15% on all your favorite DRF products, past performances, handicapping products, at more. Shop.drf.com. The Pacific Classic has a big three this year, Ashley. It's a good-looking field. This race was run for the first time back in 1991. It was won by Best Pal. 1996, Cigar is trying to win his 17th in a row to break citation streak. And then Darren Go beats him at a huge price with Alex Solis aboard. I think Julie Crone won this race, and it was the first time a female rider won $1 million race. You've had Gentleman, Free House, General Challenge, Candy Ride, Pleasantly Perfect, Lava Man, Game On Dude, Shared Belief, Beholder, California Chrome, and Flightline as some of the all-time greats to win this race. And Ashley, we got a good group this year.
Yeah, very good group. And I think there's, what should we say, three big names in here that include Fierceness, Nysos, and journalism. And I think, where it starts to become interesting is journalism. This is the path that they chose. There are a lot of targets on the path, and now he's going to face the older. So that to me mixes things up a little bit, and great rendition. And, I hate to not talk about the other five, but those are the main three.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a big top three. Fierceness ships in. You've got Journalism, the younger, facing older now, and Nysos, who's been the top older horse on the West Coast so far this year. Let's see how Timeform US think this race shapes up. That's what could be interesting. It doesn't seem like there's that much need the lead speed. You've got a lot of these horses who want to be close. Fierceness definitely wants to sit close. Midnight Mammoth wants to be close. Even horses like Nysos don't want to be too far out of it, lure him in, and Tarantino want to be close. So while I don't know if they're going to be lining up on the lead, I think a lot of these horses want to be within a couple lengths, Ashley.
I agree. And that's where the only thing I don't agree with this pace projector is Midnight Mammoth. I don't know if he's going to be third from last early.
No.
I don't see that. So that would be the one thing that I kind of disagree with. I'm not saying that he makes the lead in here, but I think he presses the situation early.
Let's meet the field for the Pacific Classic. It's going to be race 10 on Saturday at Del Mar, grade 1, 1.25 miles, and Fierceness strikes the front in the Whitney right here as the favorite, and he opens up 2-3 lengths, and you're sort of feeling like Fierceness is going to win this race. And immediately when he gets tackled, he just doesn't really have much to fight back here, Ashley. You see a few horses just run right by him. These are nice horses. We're talking about the Breeders' Cup Classic winner from last year, Sierra Leone. And when you look at Fierceness's speed figures, it's not like he's completely disgraced, still running 100 by your speed figure in triple digits, but have to feel like that was a pretty disappointing effort from him last time out as the betting favorite to be no better than fifth, beaten 5 lengths.
Yeah, he's a horse that he's got 3 races that are absolutely lackluster on the page. One of them was Champagne. When they came back, we don't know what happened. I mean, they were disappointed, right? And then the Derby, we always say the Derby's the Derby. So draw a line through it. And we saw that disappointment last time out. And I don't know. I watched the replay, Gino. I don't feel like he had an excuse.
No.
I really don't. And to see him just, fail there as the favorite, he's nearly beaten by 6 lengths. Just makes me not trust him. And then usually what happens after these races, right? He regroups and he puts in a huge effort. But depending on his prices, I think that's really going to dictate where you use him, or at least where I use him and how I play him, whether that's in the verticals or horizontals, because I fully don't trust him, but I realize that he's extremely talented, and at his best, he could win this.
This might be the first time he's bettable in a while. Because when you look at his prices, he always gets hammered at the windows, but he might be like 3-1 in this race, and actually the third choice if Nysos and Journalism get all the support in there. And I am curious from a tactic standpoint, do they just try to get aggressive from the inside? Does Johnny V look around and say, we have the inside draw, let's just go with this horse? Because the best race he ever ran in his career was actually a race that he didn't win. It was when he was second in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he was right on that fast pace at Del Mar, going 1.25 miles. So for me, I'm wondering, this track, this trip, that's where he's been at his best when he was right on the lead. Do they try to do that again and get real aggressive with him, try to spread this field out from the inside? Real curious. And I'm glad we see a big horse like Fierceness show up. Shout out to Rapoli for shipping him out here when they have Mindframe in the Jockey Club Gold Cup this weekend and have two major players. We move to Midnight Mammoth. Ashley, this guy is really cool. He's a grade 3 winner. He wins the Cougar the second. His last couple races are very, very good. Still probably a cut below the top 3, but he has really leveled his game up recently. And that second in the Gold Cup was very good behind Skippy Longstocking. I like this horse a lot. It's just a tough spot for him here.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Craig DeLossie for keeping this guy in good shape, keeping him at his best shape, arguably, with 297 Beyer speed figures, the best in his career. I liked his win 2 back. I do wonder a little bit if now this sort of decision to, keep him at the 1.25 miles is the right one. I think, off his last out effort, you have to give him another shot at the distance. I just wonder if it's a tad too far for him. So another one, I think for me, I'm going to use him in my tickets, but he's not going to be, say, in my horizontals. He'll be in my verticals.
Ultimate Gamble is going to be trying Stakes Company for the first time. He got put up via DQ last time out. He's lightly raced. He still has some upside as a 5-year-old, but he just has to get faster, Ashley, to compete with the top horses in here.
Yeah, he does. And I think he just needs to be able to class up here. I don't see it happening. I know he's faced good horses. Judge Miller had some hype, Miramati, but based on what we've seen, he's a 3-time winner, and it's just not nearly at this caliber.
Nysos, his 5 for 6. His only loss came when he was defeated by a neck, coming off of a 15, 16-month layoff. And that race behind Mindframe, behind Banishing, or Dead Heating with Banishing, right in front of Bookham Dano. Look at those horses and what they've done coming out of that race so far this year. Mindframe, a grade 1 winner. Banishing just won the Charlestown Classic, and he's just been so good. And we saw Bookham Dano stamp himself as the top sprinter in North America. So that was an unbelievably strong race. He comes back out of that in the Triple Bend. He beats Dr. Venkman. Dr. Venkman came back and won nicely for you on the cutback last week. So you look at his races most recently, they've actually been pretty decent against decent company. The San Diego didn't have to face much in there. Bob Baffert has won this race 7 times. This will be a test for him, though. Going 1.25 miles, facing Fierceness, facing Journalism, 2 of the better horses that he has faced at a distance that is brand new to him.
Brand new distance, but I think when we kind of go backtracking here and look at the effort at Del Mar, he wins this so easy. He's not really asked. And you start to look at his past performances. Only once has he gone gate to wire. He does not need the lead. And you certainly saw it at Churchill. And I remember using this exact language, when we did a preview. It's his one blemish, but in some ways, it's, to me, one of his best races. He had an off-track, long layoff, went to Kentucky, and still comes up just a tad short behind Mindframe. And you talked about everyone else in the field. So he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, and when Bob talks about him too, he talks about his demeanor, how cool of a horse he is, how he can just kind of switch off. He's very relaxed. That doesn't seem like the 1.25 miles should be any issue for him whatsoever. This is just a great race to handicap when you have 3 big legitimate contenders that you can go towards. This is absolutely one of them. Indispensable is in nice form right now, Ashley. I don't want to knock that most recent effort. It was a good effort getting his 2nd career victory. And when you look back at some of his races last year, they're pretty solid. He has a couple races in the mid 90 Beyer speed figure. I think his high is 98 overall. But he has not faced a group like this. I think he's moving in the right direction. I certainly think he has upside, but he's going to be facing 3 horses in here that are just a little bit different than what he's been facing.
Yeah, I mean, the race that I would look at and say, to me, are his better ones are probably the Shared Belief in the Oklahoma Derby. I remember being at the Oklahoma Derby, and those 3 kind of stacked up across the track, and I think that's what helped Most Wanted win. I think he kind of got circled by the horses, and he saw a competitor and decided to dig in a little deeper. But since then, you talked about it. I thought his win was good as well at Del Mar. Again, I kind of make the same case with him, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. I like him a little bit more than Ultimate Gamble, but they're the same sort of horse. They needed to show me more going into this to make them a major player, just because there's monsters in here.
Yeah, watch him third start of the long layoff. He's still a 4-year-old moving forward, but just not quite at the level of a horse like Journalism and what we've seen from Journalism, multiple grade one winner. And what's nice when you're kind of comparing him to some of the other horses in here, he's already been a mile and a quarter twice this year and a mile and 3/16 in the Preakness. So when you're talking about foundation and fitness and stamina, this guy probably has the advantage over everyone else in the field. It's just going to be, where does he stack up now against the older horses? How good was this group of 3-year-olds, him and Sovereignty and Baeza? And can he jump up and beat a horse like Nysos? He probably spots both of his two main rivals some tactical speed, right? They're both probably a little bit more positionally versatile than him and will be forward. If they go quick early on, he probably is the one that might benefit the most. I like this horse, Ashley. I've become such a big fan of his. I will say that in his two most recent wins, he has been all out in those victories, and both of them have been over Gosker, who's an improving 3-year-old, but not quite at the level of a Nysos or of a Fierceness. We see him here in the Haskell just getting up.
Yeah, he gets up, and I know he's being asked. I think when you also look at him, though, Gino, he's a really big horse. It takes him a little bit to get going, right? He's not like a sprinter where they break on top and they're going full speed. He's not a quarter horse, that's for sure. He's just this big sort of lumbering horse that it takes him a while. I think the thing that you see, though, in those stretch runs is, while he might be, to some folks at his ultimate cruising speed at those points, he's sustaining it for a really long time. And I think that's the sort of horse you want going long. And you mentioned he has experience in a mile and a quarter, even a mile and 3/16 has been kind to him at Pimlico. But, if you agree with time form, you think the pace is going to be quick, he's going to be flying. It's just now he has to prove himself against the olders. And Michael McCarthy's done a fantastic job with him. They had to pick their spot. Where do you go after the Haskell? And they went this way. And I think in a lot of ways, it's probably the right move for him.
Yeah, especially if you're going to try Breeders' Cup Classic and you run in this race, then you don't have to ship anywhere.
Yeah.
You can sit here, you can pick and choose. Do you want to run again at Santa Anita if there's another prep or not? You can go into the Breeders' Cup Classic a little bit fresh. We'll see what Journalism does against older. Lure him in. Florida bred stakes winner. He's an 8-year-old. Very cool to see him in this race, but he's just going to have to get faster based on, his recent form. I think he was just third in a field of 4 behind Ultimate Gamble.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. He's had a very good year, though, in kind of comparison to a 7-year-old campaign. And they've tried him basically doing everything. He's won on all 3 surfaces, though I do think the dirt is his preferred surface. But he would still need to improve dramatically in terms of the figures.
Rounding out the field is Tarantino, multiple graded stakes placed. He's an honest 7-year-old. He was third behind Nysos in the San Diego, and he could be part of the early pace in here. I just want to give him a little credit because he's been in the top 3 7 of his last 9, but this is by far the toughest field he's ever faced.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see Midnight Mammoth and Nysos in those last 2. He's got to face them again. He's been well behind both of them. But I agree with you. I mean, you have to like him. I think he also, has taken to Del Mar. Some of his better races have been over this dirt track.
Breeders' Cup win, and you're in the big one, the Pacific Classic this weekend, grade 1 event. Ashley, who are you going to put on top here?
Man, my heart tells me I want Journalism to win this and kind of beat up on the older horses. I don't know, though. It is a tough task. And I'll go with Nysos, which you mentioned. He's got to answer the question, can he go a mile and a quarter? I've just been so impressed with the fact that he can close from towards the back of the pack. He can sit the trip. He can be forward. I think based on what we saw last time out, he's a major player, and I don't think he's going to offer value. I know that much.
I'm curious at how this race gets bet with those top 3, because it really does seem like those are the 3 that are going to take all the money. But if you're like following along on social media, feels like Fierceness is a horse who's ice cold recently. Now, social media isn't always reality, but I'm curious if he's just going to be a better price than he's ever been. I've never really been a horse who's been someone who's picked Fierceness on top, but he may be playable, and I'm hoping they try to just use that speed from the inside in here. I honestly could have flipped a coin and had any of the 3 on top in any different order of those top 3. Ashley's going to sneak Midnight Mammoth in there, who's just a horse that's been really honest. So for Ashley, 4-6-2-1. For me, 1-6-4-5. Whoever you play, however you play them, we wish you the best of luck in the Saturday race of the day.